Are we today? Ooh, y'all, today's gonna be a wild one. Today's gonna be a wild one because we are in the midst of FAFO season. Yes, FAFO season. People are like, well, what's that? FAFO season, which, F around and find out is what FAFO stands for. And you may or may not have heard some of the news that the stock market is really plummeting. Like, it's going down. It's going down, 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 down. My shower head is very impressed with me. But yeah, no, it's bad. Like, the stock market has been plummeting, and I'll show you some of the figures here in a minute and some of the graphs. Like, it's not great. You have the Dow going down, you have the NASDAQ going down, the S&P going down. And just to be clear, the stock market is not the only indicator of the health of our economy. So let's not pretend like it's the only thing that matters. But it is something that greatly affects a lot of people. But so I want to share that nuance there as well. Akicha, hello. Hello. How's everyone doing? Ooh, it's getting toasty in my car. It rained a lot here in North Carolina yesterday, so I am happy about that. My car is clean. It is clean, so I can do my live streams without having all this like pollen everywhere. So hello and good morning, everyone. So it is officially FAFO season. Are you all familiar with this guy? Are you all familiar with this guy? This is someone who is a live streamer, but then also he has dipped his toe into politics, has endorsed Donald Trump. I think his name is Adam. I'm not here to try and dunk on him too much. I'm here to highlight a pattern. So, hello Lisa, how's it going? Cherie, hello. Alyssa, hello. Hello. Good morning, my beautiful friends. So it's officially FAFO season, and it's going to be a very interesting live show today because we are in the midst of seeing a lot of people start feeling the direct connections of the negative consequences of their vote for Donald Trump and Republicans. You are really starting to see the actual connection. And look, I'm not here to say like, yay, you're losing money because of your bigotry. But I'm also not saying that, because here's the thing, like if you were the one, I'm not going to like excessively celebrate when negative things happen to you, though also at the same time, like if you were the one that aided and abetted this exact thing, then yeah, I'm going to talk about it. So, I appreciate every single one of you. Let's get into this. Do you all know who this gentleman is? Also, just side note, I think he's super cute, but I know he's also this far right-wing influencer dude. So just throwing that out there. His name is Adam. I think he's a gamer, live streamer. Well, there's a video going around on TikTok that, is him being like, why am I losing all this money? Why am I losing all this money? So let's get into that specific thing. So Adam asked what's going on with the economy after losing a quarter of his net worth in the last 2 months. And just to really show you, like, some of these far right-wing influencers have so much money. Oh my gosh, they have so much money tied up in all of their, like, they have so much. And it's really crazy how much money is in the right-wing propaganda space, and then how little money there is in the independent, like, left-leaning, independent media space. Like, we care so much about the integrity of our content that we are not focused on trying to build up whatever finances or take corporate deals. And anyway, but let me get to the video here. Now, because I'm doing this over YouTube Live, I do not know how to do videos on my YouTube Live over my phone. So, because I'm a genius, I'm coming from TikTok, so I'm also still trying to get antiquated to YouTube. And I went through and I found the captions. I couldn't quite take a video and like have it shared here. So I went through and I had it write out all of the captions for the video. He says, I want to Guys, you want to be honest. I don't know how many guys are invested in crypto or stocks. What the F is going on with our country? Guys, like, why am I poor? Why am I poor? What is going on in the world right now? And it's interesting because this is a guy who voted for Donald Trump, who is someone that was constantly supporting him. He even did a dance with Donald Trump. We'll get there in a second. But like, he's like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? Can someone explain what's going on? Why are we losing? What is it? Why are we all losing? Why are we all in the negative right now? Does anybody know why? You voted for someone like Donald Trump. Someone said you're so misinformed. I love how that's your only go-to. I love how the only go-to of these people is trying to insult me for claiming I'm misinformed or using gay as an insult. Like, dude. So he was rightfully clocked in the comments. This is him. He was dancing with Donald Trump, celebrating the biggest stream in history. I don't know what stream he's talking about. I'm sure it was also big. I don't know about the biggest, but this is the same guy who's like, he's like, why am I losing all this money? Yada, yada, yada. Well, maybe it's because you elected and supported someone he's bankrupted casinos. So he voted, prompted, and advocated for this. Smartest Trump supporter. He endorsed this. He did the dance and everything. He voted for this. By the way, Trump supporters are really brain dead, is what someone else said. Does anybody know why? Oh boy. Does anybody know why? Oh, honey. He's like, I voted for someone that has led to the the economic downfall and maybe soon to be next recession or depression in American history. But, does anybody know why things are so bad? Does anybody know why? The most predictable market crash in history, because Trump has no idea of what he's doing. And these comments kept going on and on. This is the find out stage. Endorsed him, by the way. Dude should have stayed out of politics. Kamala told you why. He got exactly what he voted for. We are truly living in idiocracy. Why is he so oblivious? He has literally got what he voted for. He got what he voted for. Why is he acting like he didn't gift a car to the guy responsible? Sounds like he gifted a car to Donald Trump, which I cannot verify. I wouldn't be surprised, but I can't quite say if that's true or not. Dude endorsed him on his podcast. So this is a guy who's like, why am I losing all this money in stocks and crypto? Why am I losing all this money? Why is it all happening to me? Because when you elect someone that has bankrupted a casino to run the country, someone who has gone and bankrupted, I think, 6 businesses. This is a guy who winds his way into trying to get what he wants, doesn't have any clue about how the economy works, thinks that tariffs, which the last time that we tried tariffs as a country, it led to the Great Depression. They were called the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. They didn't pull us out of whatever economic situation. They actually plunged us into the Great Depression. Tariffs don't work unless you specifically tailor them to be incredibly narrow and targeted, and you have other policy that provide incentives for domestic manufacturing to come back. Because if you throw a tariff on a country, they're just going to slap a tariff on you. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything other than make everything more expensive for everyone. But honestly, I'm wondering if this has been Donald Trump's plan all along. He just wants to, for the sake of messing things up, being drama. Like Donald Trump, I don't think he really cares about like how it affects people. He just likes to cause drama. Like that's who Donald Trump is. He likes to be provocative and drama seeking just to stir the pot. Well, your actions of wanting to do this kind of stuff is leading to people losing their retirement. So while you might think it's funny or all of that, no, it has real world consequences. So all these people are like, love this for him. Why is this happening? This is a little bit rough. There's a little pole here. I think it has maybe a noose on it and a person. That's a little rough. They only care once it affects them. That's the wrong effects, but we get the point. Let's see. Votes for Trump. Why am I poor now? So it goes on and on. Notice how they don't immediately blame Trump, but did exactly that when Biden was in office, when the stock market took a tumble, because he voted for it. I think he might actually be the one to owe us an explanation. So this is the peak FAFO season. This is the peak effing around and finding out phase. And look, I'm not going to celebrate when people lose money. I'm not going to celebrate when people are in pain or frustrated. I am just going to point out, look, think of this as tough love. You aided and abetted the exact situation that we are all now in. There are wealthy people that, yes, they're taking to social media to say, oh, woe is me, woe is me. Well, there's also a lot of people who don't have that kind of platform, who don't have that kind of stability to be able to voice their story and have it be shared. There are people who are losing retirement and they don't really get a national audience. The reason why this kind of stuff is absurd is because you lose how much money? I think at one point he said, like, I'm losing like 6-8 figure. What was it? Hold on, I have to double check. He's like, I lost like 6 or 8 figures or something like that. He's like, right now, people are being unalived, metaphorically speaking, and probably physically speaking. Are you looking at your stuff, bro? Holy F, it's actually so bad. You know, tell me, be honest. What is it? What is it? 8 figures. He's like, I've lost 8 figures. That's how much money some of these far right-wing influencer MAGA grifters have. Like, they will just use their prejudice, their ignorance, their misinformation to spew a whole bunch of crap out there. And it gets so much drama, clicks, likes, views, shares, follows, but it doesn't add anything substantive to the discourse. It doesn't add anything that is like what I do here on this channel, where I'm like, this is what this is, this is what this is, this is how a tariff works, this is why this scandal is important, this is how... this is the breakdown of the budget. I did a whole live stream about breaking down the budget for the entire government. Like, anyway, but it's just wild how these people can lose 8 figures and still like be so well, there's like so fine. And there's so many people who have stocks or other things, their retirement, that are losing it, and they don't have the ability to share their story as easily. And you know what's so funny is this is a guy who, again, was dancing with Donald Trump, endorsed him on his show, and supposedly also got him a car. I can't verify that. But also, like, at one point, his friend over here, who also is a another MAGA person, was like joking, oh yeah, Kamala, come back to me, you know, like the Kanye song. So now they're like, ooh, yeah, maybe we should have not put all our eggs in this like Trump basket. Yeah, dude, you shouldn't. Like, you shouldn't do that. How are we doing in the chat? I love all of you. I mean, we are in peak FAFO phase for some of these people. And this is only just the start. Let me give you another example. This is a guy named Dave Portnoy. Are you all familiar with Dave Portnoy? I've heard the name before, but I didn't know who he was. So I was like, I don't know much about this guy. I know that he's like part of whatever Trump's sphere. This is the guy who owns Barstool Sports, which I don't follow. I'm not a very sporty person. I mean, I go to sports games with friends and family sometimes. My favorite thing to, you know, I say like, I go to a hockey game and I'm like, look, hole in one, you know. I'm the person that loves to mix up sports metaphors, just to be funny. Yes, I am that person. Also, if you're enjoying the live stream, please make sure to send some likes. I love all of you. I'm here to just break down the information. I will share my opinion. You can disagree with my opinion, but make sure that you are not disagreeing with just objective facts. So, It is peak FAFO season for people like Dave Portnoy. This is a guy who interviewed Donald Trump back in 2020, right before the election in 2020. This is a guy who's a staunch supporter. And he took to social media to complain that he's lost a lot of money because of, his stocks plummeting thanks to the threat of tariffs. So Barstool Sports' Dave Portnoy says Trump White House reached out to him about hiring him for a Commerce Department job. And this was actually even in March. So this was recently. Now, I have a theory, not proven, but it's a theory, that he might have been kind of talking with the Trump administration and somehow was really, really angry. I don't know. I mean, this probably would have happened before the stocks took a tumble, so I can't quite... There's something more that's going on beyond the headlines. That's all I'm going to say. That's my theory. There's really not much there. I can't prove anything, so I'm not going to try and come up with that. But there's probably a lot more going on with this Dave Portnoy situation with Trump that we don't know about yet. So, oh, one of my mods just told me Barstool Sports is not a sports channel. Oopsies. I don't follow whatever Barstool Sports is, just to be honest. Like, I truly don't know. What does FAFO mean? FAFO means F around and find out. And a lot of these right-wingers who were constantly, like, banging on their chest for Donald Trump, who endorsed him, were okay with him smearing trans people, gay people, constantly, like, claiming that immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country, taking away the rights for women and people with the capacity for pregnancy, going through and claiming that woke transgenderism is destroying America. Well, now they're being physically affected because this is a guy, Donald Trump, who, again, doesn't know how to run this country economically. He has bankrupted 6 businesses, and people think that he's a genius with money. Dude. So, anyway, this is a guy who's in Trump's sphere, and he took to social media to say, like, ooh, I've lost a lot of money because of the threat of these tariffs. Well, this is also a guy who interviewed Trump in 2020 at the White House at the tail end of Trump's first term. And this is something that he said back then, quote, I don't care if he's a joke. I don't care if he's a racist. I don't care if he is sexist. I don't care about any of it. I hope he stays in the race. Why? Because I love the fact that he makes other politicians squirm. That's his literal quote. That's his quote. Well, and what's so interesting is this is a guy who's still, even in this video where he's complaining, I can't show the video over YouTube right now during live stream because I don't know how. I'm still new to this, coming over from TikTok, and I found a way to show you the captions instead. But, like, he still doesn't regret his vote, even though he's lost a sizable chunk of money. So Dave Portnoy goes on a rant about Trump's tariffs after losing $7 million. And now it's up to 20. It's up to 20. He says, Trump has put his tariffs all over the place, getting some wacky formula to do it. I'm down $7 million. And I went super viral when I said I lost $7 million. I'd kill to be back to losing $7 million. So obviously it's more than that now. And yes, for those people who know this, in order for me to, because again, I don't know how to play the video on the live stream. I do my YouTube lives from my phone actually. So I'm still kind of new to the YouTube live stream because I'm leaving TikTok because TikTok is imploding. It's becoming the new Twitter. It's just, pew. I mean, at some point, TikTok's not even have a pulse anymore. But this is, I go through and I have the video saved, and then I go through and put it through the captions, and it shows the captions. And he said, I went super viral and I said I lost 7 million. I'd kill to only be losing 7 million. I haven't even looked if I had to get some down in the last 3 days. I don't know what he means by that. Probably close down to 20. I don't know, like 10, 15% of my net worth. Poof. I love how you can say that you lose $20 million and that's 10% of your net worth. Like, that's just crazy to me. There's so many people who have so little, and so few people who just have so much. Like, that's just wild to me. The wealth inequality in this country is so big. It's so big. It's widened under Republican and Democratic administrations. But let me also be very clear about something. Donald Trump's tax cuts for the rich, doing tariffs, only pours gasoline, metaphorically, on this issue. You want to decrease the wealth inequality and give working class people a chance? You tax the rich. You tax billionaires. Like, you tax this. You tax not just like the money, but also the wealth, the structure of some of these super, super, super wealthy people. And they're like, oh my God, well, no, we can't tax billionaires. They lose all their money. Why? Are you enjoying like licking the souls of those rich people? Like, dude. Taxing the wealthy should be just a common sense thing. It's not taxing them to the point where they can't like live a nice life. But we want to pay down our debt and deficit. We could just have the wealthy pick up a little bit more of the tab instead of having it be on us, you know? Anyway. But Dave Portnoy says, but I'm still here in the game, no, I'm not crying like, oh, woe is me. I wish I voted for Kamala. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying, woe is me. I wish I voted for Kamala. Do I wish it went down like this? No. I'm in this to make money. And then he goes, I don't like the left gloating, saying like, oh, it's great to see Dave lose money. He deserves it. He's so stupid. You voted for this. Ha, ha, ha. Look, we're just saying you voted for Donald Trump. You supported someone like Donald Trump. And we're not happy that this is the current economic state. This is awful for everyone. Though also, you were the one that was like constantly aiding and abetting this guy. There might be some people who are laughing at you losing your money, but that's also because you were partly the reason for your own downfall. Like if you platform someone who does awful things that negatively affect you and negatively affect all of us, yeah, I'm going to be, struggling. A lot of people are struggling right now because of what Donald Trump is doing with these tariffs, tanking the global economy. But like, you were the one that was constantly cheerleading for it. So yeah, don't tell us not to point out the hypocrisy, point out the inconsistency, how you led to this situation. And he goes on saying, like, if the stock markets are tanking, it only, you think that only affects rich people? Well, we're probably affected the least. I'm losing 20 million and I still got plenty of money. I'm like, the fact that he says this kind of stuff, like, out loud, he's like, I'm losing 20 million, but I'll be fine. There are so many people who don't even have, they probably won't even make barely $1 million in their lifetime. It's just wild. A bad man said, bro, you don't know crap. Every single time I do a live stream like this where I'm pointing out and like breaking stuff down, pointing out the logic, bringing facts and information, the only thing that they can resort to is just trying to insult me or call me gay or call me names, call me a snowflake, make fun of my voice. Dude. Hey, bro, respectfully, I disagree with you. What do you disagree with me about? If you disagree with me about an opinion or an analysis I have, that's fair. But if you're disagreeing with me based on the fact that XYZ has happened, you can't disagree with a fact. So, I don't know what you're disagreeing with, to be clear, but we're breaking all of it down. So this guy is like, rich people are not going to be rich people are going to be fine. Well, yeah, but it also shows how much money you have. So, he said, if the stock market keeps going down, I think it's possible that there's going to be a blue wave, and then we'll have like 100% Democrats. 100% Democrats. And he says here, and this is going to be a little bit of foreshadowing into later in the live. He says, I'm not in the panicking party yet, but if this tariff thing just turns out to be a total disaster, then everything's going to be in the crapper, is basically what he says. And he then goes on to rant like, oh, don't tell me not to look at my 401k or my portfolio or anything like that. Which, if you go and watch like far right-wing news, like Fox, they're literally saying, don't look at your 401k, don't look at your portfolio. This is all just, you know, par for the course. This is just a temporary setback. It's like, there are some people who will nod along and be like, yeah, absolutely. You know what? You got it. People like Janine Pirro are probably secretly being like, this is crazy, this is bad, we need to stop this. But they're paid to just be a propagandist on Fox, and they make millions a year. So, like, anyway. So, and this is the post that I'm talking about here, where Donald Trump said, and let me do it in his voice here, because, hold on. He says, this was yesterday morning. He said, the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panickin'. Which is a new party based on weak and stupid people. Don't be a panickin'. Don't be a panickin'. Be a pelican instead. Pelicans, let me tell you, they have a big orange beak. Those are the MAGA birds. Those are the MAGA birds. You ever seen a pelican? They're big. You know, make America a pelican again. But he goes, don't be a panickin', a new party based on weak and stupid people. You know, if we just use Donald Trump's words, we can, like, he is the biggest hypocrite out there. If you just look at what he posts, there's this here. Okay, let me just quickly flash forward to this. The stock markets are literally crashing. There is no reason for this. All self-inflicted. Those are his words, not mine. His words. If Kamala wins, you are 3 days away from the start of a 1929-style economic depression. If I win, you are 3 days away from the best jobs, the biggest paychecks, the brightest economic future the world has ever seen. Stock markets are crashing, job numbers are terrible, we are heading to World War III. We have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. This is not good. But hey, don't be a panickin'. Don't be a panickin'. The United States has a fantastic, a great, and marvelous opportunity to do something, a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panickin'. A new party based on weak and stupid people. Weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient. You can't make this stuff up. He says, if the Dow drops 1,000 points in 2 days, the president should be impeached immediately. Dow drops 4,000 points in 1 day. Should he be impeached then 4 extra times? 3 extra times? Like, girl. So, just pointing all it out here, like, Donald Trump is so obviously a hypocrite. If you were to take his words that he has said in the past and apply it to him, this current situation, he's condemning himself. He's condemning himself. So what that really shows is, does Donald Trump even believe his words? No. He's an opportunist. He's an opportunist. He will do and say whatever he needs to get elected and then completely throw that all aside. Those are the worst kinds of people to be in politics. Doesn't matter their party either. If a Democrat goes through, just put the shoe on the other foot for just a second. Let's say that Joe Biden, let's say that Kamala Harris were to have said, if the Dow drops 1,000 points, the president should be impeached. And then, let's say in this fictional scenario, Kamala Harris gets elected, the Dow drops 4,000 points. That's obviously hypocrisy. But let me tell you, we don't live in that timeline. We don't live in that timeline. We live in the opposite. If if Democrats did 1% of what Donald Trump does, if Democrats were to do 1% of the scandals, the hypocrisy that Donald Trump does, they would literally they would SHIT a brick. Like, they really would. So, and it's just seeing things like this with Dave Portnoy. This is what we tried to tell you. We tried to warn you about this. We tried to warn you about this. And people in the comments were like, you get what you vote for. Wrong, brother. You were liberated from $7 million. Couldn't be happier for you. He's having the day that he voted for. No sympathy. You asked for this. You said he's a businessman. He'll be great, Dave. Got the day he voted for. You voted for him. It goes on and on. Kamala literally told you all this would happen. A guy worth $100 million lost $7 million today. And I added the little violin emoji. Republicans destroy the economy every time they're in office, and Democrats inherit a mess and have to clean it up. And then the cycle begins all over again. All over again. So, if losing $20 million doesn't make you regret not voting for Kamala Harris, he needs to lose more. Hot take. I kind of agree with that. Like, dude, there are some people who are so stubborn where they can't admit when something happens. Like, here's the thing. When Biden when he had a bad debate, I went on live the next day and I was like, ooh, yeah, that was not the best, like, debate for him. He just didn't look super strong or competent. Democrats will admit when we've messed something up. Democrats will admit, yeah, it was bad for Biden to have classified documents. What, in his garage? Dude, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. Though, if you're honest about that kind of situation, you also look at Donald Trump having like 10 times that documents all over Mar-a-Lago, where little reporters or like spies can just easily sneak in and get their hands on it. They can be on the John and literally be like, oh, look, classified documents. Dude. So, like, Democrats will admit when we're wrong. You see how fast a lot of Democrats were to criticize and call out Chuck Schumer for caving to MAGA? Oh, sometimes Democrats, one of their weaknesses is we are so critical of each other to a fault that we don't have the kind of unity we need. Like, that's one flaw. But that's also a strength that we hold each other so accountable for all of that. So with Dave Portnoy being like, I'm losing money. If losing $20 million doesn't make you regret not voting for Kamala Harris, he needs to lose more. The fact that he would rather lose $20 million than have voted for Kamala Harris says so much about him. Make it $50 million. Like, ooh, that's kind of rough. This is the mindset that causes so many fathers to financially ruin their families. That would rather keep their pride than admit they have made a bad financial decision. And that's a really, really interesting comment. There are a lot of people who will maintain their stubbornness even though it's causing them pain. And let me share this as someone who grew up in a Christian conservative Southern home. And this is a little bit of my anecdotal experience. I grew up in a very conservative Christian Southern home, as I just said. And one moment that really sticks out to me was when I went off to college and started getting to know people that were so different from me. Like, I was in a bigger city. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, but I was also from like your middle class, upper middle class, white suburban kind of like area. And I never really got a lot of exposure to, I mean, I did get some exposure, but I was also very sheltered. And when I went off to college, I started meeting a whole bunch of new people from different places and things that I was like, I don't know about. I was basically, I was like borderline MAGA when I went to college. Yeah, I was. Because that's how I was raised. That's what I knew. And when I went to college, then I was able to like look at things and think for myself. I was always told what to think. I was always told what to think by my parents. And because I wanted to, you know, I wanted to impress them, I wanted to make them proud, I wanted to be a good son, that I just decided to, whether I actually consciously thought about it or not, just decided to agree. For the purpose of survival, I would agree with what they would say. I mean, they're the ones that clothed me, fed me, paid for my college. So I'm like, why should I go against them? The least I can do is give up my entire identity and my beliefs just to please them. And when I was at college, people were like, what? You shouldn't have to just go with what your parents say because they like do all those things to support and love you as their kid. It's supposed to be about unconditional love. I say all of that because when I was going into college, I was never given the empowerment to think critically and research things for myself, to look at the facts of the situation and come to my own conclusions. I wasn't. I was just told what to believe. For heaven's sake, I was subscribed to Sean Hannity, one of the biggest propagandists out there. My dad at one point, love him, my dad at one point just was watching Tucker Carlson religiously, and it was really scary. But like, that all being said, I wasn't given the empowerment to think critically for myself. I wasn't. And I remember at one point, I almost doubled down on ignorance and stubbornness. Let me tell you why. As someone that was coming out of this like MAGA cult, brainwashed cult, there were some people who were critical of me to the point where I felt like no matter if I tried to be woke, if I tried to learn and be better and be a good person, there are people that shift from MAGA. They decide to double down on their ignorance and stubbornness as a survival tactic when they're faced with too much criticism. And they resort to that because they're like, well, if I were to jump to the other side and not be good enough, then I'm not going to be anywhere. So there is this kind of like political psychology that happens a lot. And I don't think that many people on the left truly, or some people who are Democrat or liberal or in that space, really understand what that transition is like. Some people do, but there was a point where I almost decided to double down on ignorance and stubbornness when I was confronted with information because it was a survival tactic. I decided, no, I'm just going to double down on what I have been told because it's convenient. It's comfortable. And I don't think that people on the left sometimes understand that people will realize, oh yeah, you're spitting facts at me, you know, you're making a lot of sense. I obviously see the hypocrisy of what I'm doing. But they decide to go with what is comfortable instead. Why? Because they don't want to make the shift because they're not going to be seen as perfect. They're not going to be seen as perfect. Oh, I'm going to be criticized either way, even if I try. There are people who come from the MAGA space that then are like, oh, I really want to get out of this cult, get out of this like difficult situation. And then they face so much criticism that they actually double down and just go back. Because when they're confronted with that inconvenient information as a survival tactic, it's easier for them to shrink away. Now, I'm not saying that we don't criticize them. I criticize them all the time, y'all. You have to do that for them to fully wake up. My only point is, sometimes these people will do that as a survival tactic. I almost did as a survival tactic because some people aren't given like, oh, well, they're not willing to step over and learn. At one point, I'll give an example of, I know I'm all over the place. Do you all understand what I mean? Let me give an example. When I was going through my unbrainwashing after being raised as a borderline MAGA. I say borderline because I went to college in 2016. So this was just at the start of when Donald Trump was really starting to gear up. And I went to college and I had never met a trans person. I didn't know what non-binary meant. I didn't know what any of that kind of realm was. I knew that I was probably gay, but I didn't understand that other realm. And when people confronted me about how I was disrespectful and I used someone's wrong pronouns, I was mortified. I felt so bad. But then I also was like, for the purpose of stubbornness and ignorance, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to double down on it. Because it was better for me to be flawed and be an awful person than it was for me to try to be a good person. Does that make sense? It was more convenient, more comfortable for me to go full throttle with stubbornness and ignorance and bigotry than it was to try and learn and be better and improve. Now that comes to the testament of someone's character. Though also there are some of these MAGA people who secretly really want to jump ship, but sometimes they feel so overly criticized to the point that they don't do that. Now, the point is not to not criticize them. No, they deserve it. But it's also to be like, look, you've made a lot of mistakes in the past. Yes, you've caused a lot of damage. Yes, you have done all of these XYZ bad things. This is also your moment. This is your opportunity to say, you know what? Okay, we're going to jump over. We've realized the error of our ways. I was fooled. I was brainwashed into this. I was hoodwinked into it. This is your moment to just transition over. This is your moment to actually be like, you know what? We're going to try. Does that make sense? So, it's not that people, I feel like I've completely derailed the purpose of my live stream, but I wanted to share that specifically because these people need criticism in order to wake up, but they also need empowerment to be better human beings. So you have to criticize someone. Like, think of it like this. I'll give you another example. When I was confronted about using someone's wrong pronouns and being disrespectful to trans people, I felt awful. But then someone's like, Scott, you are not going to just be the living example of your past mistakes. You be a living example of the person that you are going to be moving forward. So just because you did and said all those awful things, you need to atone for them. But also, this is your opportunity to be a better version of yourself going forward. Does that all make sense? So I was given very, very valid criticism, but also empowerment that it's okay that I made bad mistakes. It's okay that I was brainwashed, and it was okay that I was put into that cult situation, but that I could free myself. I didn't have to double down on it. I understand exactly what you're talking about. Thank you, Marta's Place. So, I think it's important to share that. But going back to, my phone is hot. Going to everything with these people, the reason why I connect with them so much is because I was them. But you can't just double down on ignorance and stubbornness because it's comfortable. You have to be courageous and empathetic and willing to admit that you were incorrect about something. Willing to admit that there were past mistakes that were made. This guy actively supports Donald Trump, interviews him, says, I don't care that he's sexist or, racist or anything like that. I support him because he makes people squirm. That's his original quote. Then now he's starting to feel the effects of, Donald Trump doesn't know how to run a country. His tariffs are going to bankrupt the global economy, which data shows that they are. And he loses 20 million and he doesn't change. Why? Because it's, I've already said and done all of these things that show that I'm a MAGA. So if I go away, break with MAGA, then, then I'm not. It's like a survival tactic. It's like, I'm just going to double down with the existing sphere that I'm in. I've already invested so much time, money, and effort into being a part of this MAGA cult. It's easier for me to just hunker down when times are tough and ride it out. There's a lot of MAGA people who have bought endless merch. They have bought shoes. They've bought pants. They've bought shirts. They've bought hats. They've bought flags. They have bought every single MAGA hat that you can imagine. They have gone to they've gone to so many different rallies. They've spent so much money showing that they are MAGA, donating to candidates. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen on the left as well. There are people who do that for Democrats as well. But to the point where it's like endless amounts of merch, endless amounts of like, make liberals cry, make America great again. If you go to for instance, when I went to a Kamala Harris rally in North Carolina, you had some people wearing like Kamala shirts, but if you took some of those people out, it just looked like a rally. It looked just like a whole bunch of people. You go to a MAGA rally and it's like everyone has the same stuff on. So there's a huge market for people who do right-wing merchandise because people will go through and buy that. The reason I say all of that, people will double down. These right-wingers will double down because they've already invested so much time, money, and effort into being this like right-wing. So they don't want to admit that they were incorrect or hoodwinked, or that they don't want to actually admit that they were wrong for the purpose of stubbornness. I'm saying that as someone who is a part of that. So we need to you're like, well, okay, what is your advice? My advice is you give these people a lot of tough love, criticism, but then also you give them empowerment saying, hey, you were MAGA in the past, but that doesn't mean you have to be MAGA in the future. Just because you said and did awful, awful, awful things, supported people like Donald Trump, doesn't mean you have to continue being a part of this imperfect system that continues to hurt other people. Just because you were racist or transphobic in the past doesn't mean you have to be that in the future. You can atone for your bad actions. You can atone for your bad actions and then be better moving forward. You don't have to be the living example of all of your past flaws. Instead, you can be the best version of yourself moving forward. At one point, I messed up someone's pronouns so bad, and I kind of doubled down, and it was not the best situation. And I felt so bad about it afterwards that I'm like, no, I'm just going to double down on being like an awful person. Someone said, Scott, why are you doing that? You could just change and be better and move forward. And I'm like, yeah, but then who would I be? It's like someone who changes their mind when you're faced with information. I'm like, oh, I guess so. So that's why I do what I do on my platform. Before I get back to that, does that all make sense? If I've helped at least one person with that explanation, then great. Does that all make sense? If it does, then say yes in the chat. If that is something that is helpful, then please let me know. I don't even know what's going on in this chat. There's probably a whole bunch of other conversations I don't know about. But if that just helped one person, then great. Someone said pronouns, you need help, bro. You just use people's preferred pronouns. It's not that hard. Misinformation Mayhem says yes. Thank you. Okay, cool. And Amy says yes. I'm so glad. I'm glad because I feel like I don't feel like I was as, what's the word? Not precocious. I don't feel like I was as eloquent with that as I needed to be. So, anyway. But going with this, you have these right-wingers who are losing a tremendous amount of money because they supported someone like Donald Trump that is going through with his tariffs plan, trying to I don't even know what his end goal is, but these tariffs are going to lead to the downfall of our American democracy. That's my analysis. If he does not change his plan here, we're going to plunge into a Great Depression if he doesn't change course with these tariffs. You present very well, Scott. Thank you, Cherie. Now, yeah, the market ebbs and flows, but when we see this, when we see something like this, hold on. Beep, 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 beep. Let me get to the, when we see something like this, yeah, it ebbs and flows. This is a perfect example here. But this is a big decrease. It naturally ebbs and flows, but just put the shoe on the other foot. If this was Biden or if this was a Democrat, would that be your response? Would that be your response? No. Because a lot of the right wing, they don't actually care about the consistency of what they do or say, whether you realize it or not. Trump gave his supporters permission to be their worst selves. That's why they will never abandon him. Some people hopefully are. It's okay to admit that you were duped. Actually, if there are Trump supporters that then come out and say, you know what, I messed up. I messed up. There are a whole bunch of people that are on the left that are going to be like, yes, you did. And it was bad. And you need to atone for those kinds of things. There was one white gentleman that was really, really cool about it. He said, you know, I messed up. I fully messed up. I didn't realize it. You know, I didn't understand it until it started negatively affecting me. And then I started hearing everyone's stories. And, you know, I shouldn't have had to come to that situation to really understand. But now I've woken up and I'm starting to realize, you know, how I was just duped. And his comment section were people being like, glad you've woken up finally, you know, just atone for your bad actions and be better moving forward, but glad to have you with us. And that there is desire out there for that. So I also want to, and I'm going to, I need to take a break here soon, but I want to also show there are a lot of people who have taken to social media to share their anxieties about this current moment. And these are people that I don't know personally in real life, but these posts are all over Twitter, Truth Social, the internet right now. This person said, recall the tariffs. You cost me $3,200 in my retirement accounts Friday, and I voted for you 3 times. You're killing us. We'll pause first off. It's the wrong "you're," but there are people who are like, yeah, I voted for you and I'm losing my money. I'm losing my 401k. I'm losing my retirement. This person says, dude, I voted for you, but you were destroying my retirement account. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. I voted for you, but 30% loss of my retirement funds was not what you promised. Myself and others are now sorry we voted for you. You are killing our retirement accounts. Oh, it keeps going on and on. I voted for you. And these people are tagging Donald Trump. I voted for you. But midterms are flying out the door. Your actions destroy our hopes and plans to retire anytime soon. For God's sakes, why decimate everything at one time? It will take years to recover our retirement accounts, but it took you 3 months to destroy them. I voted for you. Stock market is in free fall again today. My retirement saving is crushed because of your policies. Golden age, my butt. I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't have voted for Trump last November. These tariffs are starting to get ridiculous now that you are affecting my retirement. I hope for your sake things get better quick. Mr. Trump, why are you destroying the American seniors' retirement accounts? This is not what we voted for. Correction. This is exactly what you voted for. But you didn't consciously maybe realize this is what you voted for. Donald Trump has been saying and talking about tariffs for the longest time. He said, we're going to do a 60% tariff on China, 20% tariff on a lot of other places. Tariffs are going to make our country rich, make America great again. You might not have consciously been hearing when he talks about tariffs, but that was stuff that he talked about on the campaign trail. But you may have only heard things like, deport all of the undocumented people, they're scumbags, blah, blah, blah. Let me say more racist and sexist crap. Let me demonize trans people one more time and have you all clap. And then, say, make America great again. Talk about the woke establishment brainwashing our kids. So, how does it feel for those people to have voted based on their preferred bigotry, knowing that it might also economically cost them? Well, some of them are doubling down, saying that, oh, this is just temporary. Oh, we'll get through this. We'll get through this. Oh, this will be fine. We'll see. But the fact that Donald Trump and his pursuit of tariffs are leading to global economic instability is actually fascinating as a political science case study. But yeah, it's bad. So I mean, these comments, these posts go on and on and on. So I worked all of my life, put away a few bucks for retirement, less than you probably spend in one day, voted for you. Now you want to take the pittance I worked my entire life to save. I voted for you 3 times, but I'm completely appalled at what your self-inflicted tariffs are doing to our senior retirement accounts. We can't afford this recession that you are throwing the USA into. Everything you say, tariff, we fall several percent. Stop it. 2026 election at risk. Like, these people only, bye Alyssa, love you, you're amazing. These people only decided to wake up because it now affects them. Some people are choosing not to wake up. Even though you might lose $20 million, they're like, nope, doesn't change my mind. So those people are TFG, too far gone. Why do we have to be such an easy dupe species? God created you as a man. God created me as a human. And God loves me. God loves everyone, including the trans people. God would be shaking his head at your hate of other people. Your hate of trying to control other people's bodies. Jesus was woke. This is a guy who says, love your neighbor as thyself. As soon as I start saying this stuff, you notice we had 90 and it went to 70. That's incredible. That's incredible. TFG, adding that to my lingo. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Someone said, no, you're sick. I don't hate you. I pray for you. Says the guy who comes into my comments trying to fearmonger about other people's existence. Trying to type in all caps to get my attention because you're desperate to try and, I guess, cause hate over the internet. Like, it's just wild. Anyway, but I need to skedaddle. I need to take a break, and I love all of you so much. I love all of you so much. Today's live show was definitely interesting. So I appreciate every single one of you. Cherie, love you. Alyssa, Akicha, Kate, Jenny. Y'all are all awesome. All my moderators are good friends of mine. And I love all of you so much. Ellie, love you. And I'm going to skedaddle for now. But just remember. Also, I have a video that I post. I had 2 videos that I posted yesterday. So definitely go and check those out. Just remember that you are beautiful. You are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!